Hello and welcome back to the Vitality Hub podcast. I am your host, Elena Kundro, and today is episode 2 of Life Upgrade series. It's all about life vision, insights, how do you want to live, and just mapping out that path for yourself. It can be quite overwhelming. That's why I'm doing this podcast, to make it easier. If you haven't listened to the first episode, I do advise to start from that, because in the Life Upgrade episode 1, I share how to do a reflection to gain insight of where you are now. Because once you know exactly where you are, it becomes just much easier to go forward, to know what you want to improve on. Because actually, even by doing the reflection on your year or quarter or whatever time period you choose to do, it becomes immediately apparent what needs to happen further. And actually, a lot of the questions that I outline in the first episode are kind of like the answers to the questions that I give in this episode. And like in the last one, I shared different techniques how you can do your yearly reviews, reflections. So in this episode, I also will share practical tools, how you can approach your vision. It doesn't have to be the same. For some, it can be a life vision board. For others, it can be more question-oriented. So this episode will lead into the other episode where I will talk about goals and how to actually implement. So don't feel overwhelmed by all of your vision and goals, because it can feel like it's too much. How am I going to do all of that? And the biggest mistake that people make with New Year's resolutions is that they write out 10 goals and end up accomplishing none. And that diminishes belief in themselves, that they can actually do anything. So take this episode, do it along with me. You can stop at each time a new question comes, and you can do that. Or you can listen to the whole one and just come back to it later. Whatever you choose, keep in mind that it's just to gain the idea of where you want to go. It's not about, oh, now you have to make this happen. No, last one was where you are, what has happened, and this one is about where you want to be. So just take it as that. You don't have to do anything right after this. Just write everything down, and in the next episode, we will get the action going. I really love doing this every year, and yeah, it's been quite powerful for the past 10 years I've been doing this. So there are a few ways you can approach your life vision to make it as simple as you can for yourself. Don't overcomplicate it. So first one is actually something I haven't done myself, but I'm doing this year, and I'm very excited about it. I've heard it on some other podcasts. I don't remember now, because I listen to so many podcasts. That's why I started one myself, because I just love podcasts and I see so much value in it. So the first one is writing a letter to your future self. You can choose your own writing style if you want to write it as if it already happened, or from your current self to your future self. You can just write what kind of life you're living now, or what are your hopes for the life that you want to be living. Or you can write it in a way of gratitude. If you want to attract a partner, then you can write, I'm so happy and grateful that this amazing person came into your life and you get to create this beautiful relationship. Or if you want to advance your career goals, you can say, I'm so just excited about this new career path that you're on, and I see you're doing great. Just basically whatever comes to you, writing this in a letter. And then you have to seal it and only open it after a year. So a year from now, when you'll be doing your reflection, then this will be something to reflect on. So whatever you do now in this session, what I outline in this podcast, you can use it to reflect next year. And that's why next year's reflection is going to be so much more smooth, and you can get more insights because you did the job now. So that's the first way. The second one is the one-word theme. That's something that I talked about in the last episode, where you just pick a theme for the whole year and you reflect how that theme played out in different aspects of your life. This one is more intentional, so you choose what will be the word for your year. For example, for me, I really like doing that in addition to my other questions and life areas. So for me, this year's theme is excitement, to follow my excitement. And for me, that means that I am going to pay more attention to those little feelings of excitement, what draws me in. And that's why I'm doing this podcast, because I felt excited about it. I want to bring in more joy and vitality through acting on my highest excitement. And excitement means different things to different people, but it's just that feeling of aliveness that you're feeling drawn to. Something that maybe that you felt like when you were a kid, that you're just so immersed into this one activity. I talk about this a lot with my hypnotherapy clients when I try to explain what's it like to be in the flow and to get into that moment where you're totally absorbed. Last year was healing, health in mental and physical way, because I had an accident, a few accidents actually. We're living now in Bali and we had a bike accident and all of that healing part, and I really focus on my inner child healing. So that was the theme of the year. And it just becomes so much easier to reflect and then during the year to focus that, okay, this is my priority. I really want to heal, or I really want to focus on my excitement, my creativity. Maybe I really want to upgrade my professional life. Maybe it's relationships. It can be whatever. So just choose one word theme and write it down somewhere so you could see it. Then for the visual people out there, you can choose to do a vision board. I like to do that as well, but I wasn't particularly good at it per se, because I would just make it one time and never come back to it. And my friend always takes a few pictures from the vision board and put it on her phone screen and sees it every single day. And I know it's really working for her because she's been doing it for a few years and it always turns out the way she imagined. So it's going to be a really powerful tool. You can do it in a way that you cut pictures from a magazine and you just make a collage and hang it on a wall. You can do it digitally. I like to do a Pinterest board that I collect all my ideas, but then you have to make it visible. That was my mistake, that I didn't make it visible to me every day. I need to expose myself to that. Again, you can use Vision Board together with another tool. Basically, you write on a piece of paper for each of the categories what's your ideal outcome. So that's like, there's a visual representation of what you want, and then there's the word representation in words. So you combine those, you can see in your phone, on your laptop, wherever you choose to expose it. You can print it out. You have that visual representation that can really allow that visualization. And also to have it written out. My friend who has her vision board printed out on her phone, not printed out, put on her phone screen. My brain is fried for some reason. So she also has each area written out on a piece of A5 paper and she reads through it every single day. I did that myself, but somehow I didn't end up reading it. I ended up reading it a few times and then because I was traveling, it didn't really work for me. But digital version works for me much better. So before I start my workday, just open a Notion page where my goals are for each area of life and then a few pictures to represent that. That's a much better way. So yeah, vision board, what to put in that vision board. I would suggest putting more pictures that's focusing on identity, not necessarily the outcome. So you can also write down words that represent the identity. For example, if it's health focused, not just put the six-pack, that's an outcome, but also person who's eating healthy, who's exercising. So basically the whole identity of a person who has a six-pack. And the same comes for like a person who's learner. You can put down pictures of a person reading or whatever. And then places, experiences, that can also be very inspiring, especially when you see that actually it turned out exactly the same way. I heard so many stories of people who had certain pictures in their vision board and after a few years they saw that it completely represents their life. For me, it's not as much of a vision board, but I really like to visualize before falling asleep. And I used to visualize during the pandemic that I'm living in Bali, that I wake up and I see this landscape of greenery and just palm trees, and I'm living with my partner who's having the same lifestyle like me, and that's my life now. I didn't have a vision board, but I did have the vision board inside of my head, and I was really focusing on the feeling. But that's more like to the whole like manifestation part. And basically creating your vision for the next year, because once you see it, you can always remember to feel it. And again, remember to pair your pictures with written word. So if you have a picture of someone who's eating healthy, who is having the mobility that you want or whatever, also write down in your health category how you're feeling, what kind of life you're living, what's possible for you. For example, maybe you can write down that you're feeling so much energy and just strength, and you're exercising and you're moving on all the joyful ways, and you can hike and you can run and ski, whatever you want. Just really put down all the things that you can do that's enabling you to do. Okay, I feel like that does a lot to unpack when it comes to vision board. Okay, so the next principle, how you can do your envisioning for the next year, is just divide year in quarters or months, because it can feel overwhelming and people can overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 3 years. That's a quote I heard on, I think that was Lewis Howes that said that if you have your year divided in months and quarters, then you're more focused. You know that, okay, maybe autumn is for career growth. Maybe winter is for nurturing relationships. Maybe spring is health focused. And maybe summer is spirituality, traveling, hobbies. Because life doesn't have to be balanced all the time. I don't really like that idea of, oh, we have to live in complete balance. Because what is it? Like 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of social life. But life is seasonal. There are different seasons. And yeah, maybe one season in life is out of balance regarding to social life. Maybe you're zoned in on your career or your studies. When you're so focused, you can accomplish more because you don't have to split your attention into so many different aspects, and you're just waking up and zoned in because I know what my focus in. It doesn't have to be 3 months. It can be just, a week, 2 weeks, a month to accomplish a certain goal. But then after that, you go to another imbalance. You focus more time on social life or more time on your hobbies. And that can work really for some people. For others, maybe it doesn't work. It's best to experiment and try it out. For me, it really does work, because then if I know that this week is all about work, but then I know that next week I'm going out with my friends and I'm traveling. That's what I'm doing exactly right now. This week I'm really focusing on getting things done, recording, writing out the scripts and posts, working with clients. But I know that next week I'm leaving with my friends on a trip, and that's an imbalance. But over a longer span, that's balance. It's just important not to get myself into a burnout, to feel what my boundaries are. But yeah, balance is not necessarily required for every stage of your life. I hope that I made that clear. So that's another way. And the last two are kind of same in a way and not. So one is more easy. So just splitting your vision into life categories. Something similar that I talked about in the first podcast episode about reflection. There was one way of reflection, doing your life categories, and then the other one was delving deep through the questions. So the same is here. The first method would be just write out whatever amount of categories you want. It can be health, wealth, relationships. It can be 10 categories if you wish, whatever is important for you. Maybe for some people, creativity is a really important category of their life. Maybe for others, it's spirituality. And you can just adjust whatever you need. And then just see what would a perfect year scenario be in that category after a year. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Health, and then how do I feel? How do I move? What my body feels like? What's my mental health after a year if it's been the perfect year, perfect scenario. You can even call it like the life categories in the perfect scenario, and write it out as if it was already happening, if it was already the reality. So if I was writing out my health category, I would be writing, I'm so happy that I can squat, 100 kg in the gym, and I go to the gym 6 times a week, that I can ski and surf, and that my digestion is perfect, and that I feel so much energy every day, and I eat home prepared meals. Yeah, just so many things. And then the last way is to go through the life categories in questions, something that I talked about in a previous episode. And again, all of these questions, this Notion template is available to you. All you have to do is message me on Facebook or Instagram. You can also email me. I'll leave all of that in the show notes, and I will send you all these questions so you could do that yourself. And then once you have it, you can just come back to it every year and see how your vision transforms and changes and grows as you grow as a person. So the guiding questions, that's quite a lot here, but I'll just read through them so you could start thinking about it, give your subconscious mind some things to do in the background, so when you actually sit down to write, it's much easier for you. And if you want, you can stop at every question and do it right now. Do the reflection as you go. So personal growth and learning. Questions for that topic are: what empowers and fuels me? How can I do more of that? Another question: what new skills or knowledge do I want to acquire? What behaviors are repeatedly causing negative outcomes or negative feedback loops? How can I change them? Second category is physical and mental health. How can I prioritize my physical and mental health in the upcoming year? What specific health goals do I want to achieve? How can I incorporate mindfulness or gratitude practices in my daily life? What self-care practices or routines do I want to prioritize in the upcoming year? How can I create healthy boundaries with technology and social media? The next category is relationships and community. And the questions are: how can I strengthen existing relationships in the upcoming year? Are there new relationships I want to cultivate, or maybe old ones to revive? How do I want to impact people around me? Career and professional development. And the questions are: what are my career aspirations in the upcoming year? What skills or experiences do I want to gain in my professional life? How can I step out of my comfort zone in the coming year? Then comes financial goals. What financial goals do I want to achieve in the next year? What do I need to do to make that happen? And last one, how can I improve my financial habits and planning? The next one is the hobbies and self-expression. Are there new or old hobbies I want to prioritize? What experiences or adventures do I want to embark on? What would allow me to feel more self-expressed? Then comes time management. How can I give up meaningless activities to free up space for the important ones? What activities or habits should I prioritize for a more balanced life? How can I better keep track of my time and manage it well? Maybe put some systems in place. Then there comes spirituality and philosophy. How can I feel more purpose and connection to the divine, the higher self, source, whatever resonates with you? And the last is identity. What do I want to stand for? And what values to represent? How can I align my actions with my values and aspirations? What would make this year the best year? How do I need to change to become the person who can achieve that? What new tiny habits and routines can I employ to move towards becoming that person? Who or what can I bring into my life to help me become that person? Hopefully these questions gave you a good amount of food for thoughts, and once you do write it out, I'm sure you'll have much more clarity on how you want to move forward in your life. I'm very curious to know, what new did you learn from answering these questions? Maybe something about yourself or a perspective change. What did you gain from it? I really want to make this podcast for you guys to benefit your life. So the only way I can know what's working and what's not is by getting feedback. So if there's something you want to share, please text me on my socials. Best way is to reach me on Facebook or Instagram. And yeah, I will really look forward to your message. And if you want the questions to do the review yourself, to get the guidance, send me a text and I will send you this page so you could follow along. If you like this content, maybe you can share it with your friend and you can do the reflection together, the reflection and the vision thing. All the research is showing that if you do something with someone else, it's much more likely to stick. You'll have more fun along the way and you'll build better friendships. So that's it from me today. And I hope to see you in the next episode, where I will walk you through what to do with all of this vision thing that now you have, how to actually make it a reality. So see you in the episode 3.